Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I am your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piroworski, coming to you live from the East Coast, the coast with the most, from your co-host with the most here on the Rundown. 2A views, conservative news, and Craig, it's finally over. Day 5 of the hostage situation is almost over.
You know, I almost pulled up the video from Thank God It's Friday. For some of y'all don't get that, but trust me, that was back in the Thank God It's Friday, Friday, Friday. Yeah. Yep. It feels like that, doesn't it?
It does.
Sometimes I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm going, I am Leatherman.
Yep. Exactly. How's your day going? How's the start of your weekend looking?
Oh, the start of the weekend is looking phenomenal. Just this week, it's kind of funny because I added some work with a new client, and it's taken me weeks, kind of a few weeks to get into a groove. But now I'm in that groove. And the best part about that groove is, normally my work day goes until, 6 o'clock. It starts about 5 a.m. and ends about 6 p.m. But on Fridays, it ends when this ends. So I'm like, I'm ready to party.
Yep. So yesterday, two decent, significant events yesterday. It was the Marine Corps' birthday yesterday, and my VFW was hosting a party for all the Marines, and it was really good. Got to hook up with people I hadn't seen in a while, and a really good time. So, and then today being Veterans Day, it just kind of flows right into it. So it's been a really good patriotic couple of days. But yesterday it was Hurricane Day, so everything's closed, everything's shut down, and I don't know. I guess it just kind of felt like a Saturday to me. I got a text early morning yesterday from Paul Lathrop over at Second Amendment Foundation. He does the daily and weekly bullet for them.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, hey, the guy who's normally on today can't make it. Can you fill in? I'm like, sure. Yeah, I'm not doing anything. Right.
Nice.
Well, that show during the week airs at 5. Right. And on the weekend, it airs at 1 p.m. So me thinking it was Saturday, I showed up for his show 4 hours early. Was sitting there calling him going, do I have the wrong link? Is something wrong? He's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, never mind. I'm a dumbass. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Poor guy. I feel so bad for you.
Yep.
Well, on that note, one of the things I want to make sure to do was to wish all those who have served our country a very, very happy Veterans Day, and let you know how much we appreciate your willingness to serve our country, putting your life on the line. And by the way, Mike, that includes you. So thank you so much for your service.
No, thank you, Mr. Acavado. You know what? Since you said that, let me send you this real quick. How about this? This is a picture I posted.
I'll tell you what. While you're sending me that, I'm going to share a picture myself. This is a picture of my father. My father was a World War II veteran. Matter of fact, this year he would have been 100 years old if he were still with us. But he would be 100 years old. But he was a World War II veteran in the Air Force. And I posted this picture on Facebook today. And I'm so proud to have called him not just called him my dad, but I'm so proud of his service to our country. And that was at a time when the service of not the service of all people was not necessarily as appreciated. Although I will say this, if there was a place that was closer to what we wanted America to be when it came to race relations, the military was probably it.
Yeah, very much so. Listen, it was President Truman that desegregated the military in 1947 with the National Defense Act back then. Forcing it upon, forcing us to do the right thing 20 years before the rest of the country even thought about doing it.
I got your photo up here. You want to introduce it, or you want me to just put it up?
Sure, and there's a little story that goes with it too.
All right.
So that's Afghanistan. About that's probably early '06 in Afghanistan, right? The guy standing next to me is just my interpreter for the day. Um, but it was at the National Museum of Afghan People, Jihad and Resistance. Now, that was that's the resistance when they fought as the Mujahideen against the Russians in the '80s. So um, they had this museum there, but they also had a lot of military stockpile of old equipment, right? The stuff
Mm-hmm.
Russians left behind. We helped convert a lot of that stuff over to the current Afghan army so they could use it. Went there looking at a bunch of stuff. We found a bunch of stuff. I'm talking like artillery pieces and tanks, that kind of stuff, big stuff. Well, tucked in the corner was a Scud missile carrier with 3 Scud missiles on it. And we went over and took all sorts of pictures from it, looked at the control panels, read everything off of it. And there was an Afghan platoon that was there. And look at that mustache, by the way. Hell yeah.
That's why I zoomed in. Had to get that stash.
Yep. And the Afghans thought we were over there. I guess they thought we were clearing the missiles to rendering them safe or whatever, right? Well, these things had been in the desert there for like 15 years, and they were still filled with at least half full with hydrazine, the rocket fuel.
Oh wow.
3 days later, Craig, we're like 60 kilometers away, and we see this mushroom cloud. And the story went, they thought we cleared the weapons or demilled them and made them safe. And they went over there with torches and tools and started to tear them apart for salvageables, and ignited those rockets. And they blew up right there on the carrier, and everybody within a half mile was killed almost instantly, including that spot where I'm standing right there was at the end of the bottom of the crater that was a half mile wide.
Wow. Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. So it's a picture of me in a place that doesn't exist anymore.
Sadly, that's probably not the only picture like that exists.
Very true. That's very true. Yeah.
Well, anyway, on that note, everyone, once again, thank you so much for your service. And if you haven't thanked a veteran today, in particular the veterans that are in your life, take a moment, go to them, give them a call, give them a holler, drop them a text, do whatever you got to do. Go down to your local VFW and say thank you. And if you go to the VFW, make sure you get them a drink.
There you go. You don't have to go inside. Knock on the door and hand them 10 or 20 bucks and say, I just want to buy a couple of vets a drink. You don't have to stay. Stick around. You can just leave. They'll appreciate it.
There you go. And on that note, let's go ahead and before we get into today's program, which we kind of already did, but let's make sure to do a shout out to our sponsors, because I know that a couple of our sponsors are actually veteran-owned businesses.
That's right. Good friends, you're both veteran-owned and operated over there at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. If you've got yourself an AR in the past 5 years, odds are you might even have one of their barrels and don't even know it. Well, now you can get a new one for your next build or replace the barrel in your current rifle. That's hitmanindustries.net. The California Republican Assembly. Listen, they did a great job this past week. You see what's going on there in California. Make sure you continue to visit and assist them in any way so they can keep everything straight for you in your state there in California. And then, of course, another veteran-owned and operated company, our good friends over at uscombatgear.com. Go there to get all your field gear, web gear, tactical gear needs.
Folks, these folks, here's the thing. They believe in the message that is about freedom, about liberty, and about America. And that's why they support our program, because that's what we're about. So do us a favor and do them a favor. Matter of fact, do yourself a favor. Go to their website, because I promise you're going to like what you see when you go to our sponsors' websites. The links are in the description to this program. Just go there, click on it. I promise you're going to like what you see. And when you do, make sure you support them. Become a member if you're talking about the California Republican Assembly. Buy some products if you're talking about Hitman Industries or uscombatgear.com. And then just do us a favor. Make sure you tell them that it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you.
That's right, Craig. Now, I told you yesterday I was going to have a surprise one today.
Oh,
so here I am throwing you on the spot. Go ahead and put this web page up there. It's Hog Holsters, HAWG holsters.com. That's hogholsters.com. Here we go. Here we go. Hog holsters. Here it comes. So anyway, this is they make they're out of Arizona again, veteran owned and operated. He's a proud Marine. He makes some of the best holsters out there. Tactical concealable holsters. At HAWG because it's helping Americans wear guns. HAWG, helping Americans wear guns. He's got incredible selection, all handmade, every one of them custom. Probably half the time he makes them, he goes, I don't like them, and he tosses them because they're not good enough for him. He's got great stuff, and if you go on there and use the discount code Arms Room Radio, that's Arms Room Radio, all one word, all caps, Arms Room Radio, you're going to get 10% off. Now you got to get at least $30 worth of stuff, but I think everything's like $30 anyway. So it's nice. Arms Room Radio, 10% off, and you can get a holster. You name a gun, he's got it. He's got like 450 molds for these guns. So he's got everything. Yep.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, Craig,
I'm going to have to put him to the test.
Craig, I told him, I said, John, I've got you don't have my gun. It's very unique. He goes, what do you have? I go, I got two that I carry on me every day. I got an AMT 45 backup, which has been out of production for about 15 years now, 20 years. And I said, I have a special Glock 30S with the high suppressor sights on it. And he's like, I got them both. I'll send them to you this week.
Wow. It's funny you said a Glock 30S because I was going to say, I wonder if he has a Glock 30 short frame. The only difference is, does he have one with the XC1 light attachment?
He may, and if he doesn't, he's got to work around for you there. So
I'll bet you he does. I'll bet you he does. In any case, folks, check out
Arms Room Radio,
Arms Room Radio, and it's hogholsters.com. We'll make sure to add them to. I'm sorry.
Yeah, all caps, no spaces. The code is Arms Room Radio. So as you look, it's not going to expire. Take a couple days, figure out what you want, and get your order in.
So we will definitely add them to. We'll add them, to the road down here. We gonna find a spot for them. Good folks. Good folks. All right. Well, let's get into the today's news. You might know, if you've been following unless you've been, had your head in the sand the last few days, that there was an election in two states where there have been big, huge victories, at least at the top of the ticket in California, and then just statewide for Republicans in Florida. Two guys who are claiming total victory today are Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom. The interesting thing, Mike, about what they're doing is they're not just declaring victory, but they're declaring that the reason they won, the reason why the initiatives and whatnot that they supported won, was because they are about freedom. Now, needless to say, they're in Florida. Well, first of all, we'll start in California, which is where I currently reside, or as I like to call it, California. Their freedom here in California was about the right to be able to kill your child in the womb up to the moment before they are actually born. That's what Proposition 1 in the state of California that passed overwhelmingly. That's what that allowed to happen. Now, I will give some voters some forgiveness only in that that's not how they promoted it. They just wanted to say that, yes, that abortion was a right, which I believe reasonable people can disagree on whether or not it should be legal, but to say that it gets to the point of being a right, I have a problem with. Anyway, That having been said, that's what they're pushing there they're pushing in California as quote unquote freedom, right? In Florida, Governor DeSantis is saying, look, we allow you to keep your hard-earned money, right? We don't tax you to death. We don't lock down businesses and make our kids go to, make our kids sit in front of a computer monitor instead of allowing them to go to school. We don't shut down businesses and ruin and destroy people's livelihoods, right? We don't force people's children to learn about, sex and transgenderism and all of this stuff in schools, not only without their parents, knowledge, but without not only without their parents' permission, but without their knowledge. You know, Mike, there is Fisher Ames once had a saying. He said, you know, the ultimate propensity for democracy, was it, is licentiousness, which the ambitious purport and the ignorant believe to be liberty.
It's a good quote.
And that's what you have in California. People think that all of a sudden you ought to be able to do all sorts. You ought to be able to do drugs, whatever drugs you want. Matter of fact, we ought to have a place in public where you can go and do drugs safely. Prostitution should be completely 100% legal, unless, of course, you're trafficking of minors. At least they do try to draw a line there. Give them that. At least they try to draw a line there. But killing babies up until birth. These are all things that are freedoms. But I don't know, the ability to allow you to keep the money you earned, the ability to be able to defend yourself, those are not considered freedoms by the liberals here in California.
Yeah, well, listen, and let's take it a step further, right? If you have the ability to go use these illicit narcotics, and you overdose, you get sick, you need health care, they take you to the state funded hospital. Same thing if with the prostitution, if a woman gets injured, gets hurt, or she catches some sort of a communicable disease, over to the hospital, and they take care of it there because it's all free, Craig, because that money coming from the state-run hospital, that just grows on trees, right? That's not your tax dollars going to pay for all of that, is it? See, so even though those people get more freedoms, you get less cash.
Oh yeah. No, they want, you're free to enter our country, even if you've broken every law even if you've broken the law to get here. And by the way, not only are you free to enter our country, you're going to get free health care. You're going to get free education. You're going to get free college and college tuition. These are all things that are free because they see them once again as freedoms. Let me explain something to you folks. Oh, I almost forgot. Gender affirming care, meaning they'll lop off your breasts or your penis if you feel like that's what you need to do to be complete. They'll give minors puberty blocking drugs that will potentially make them sterile for the rest of their life. That's freedom, according to folks like Gavin Newsom. Let me explain something to you. Just because it's free does not mean it is freedom.
It's very true, very true. Oh, by the way, next time if you're going to mention lopping off of the junk, you need to give me a little warning before you do that.
I'm sorry, but that just kind of. But that's what it is, right? I mean, I hate to say it, but that's really where they're at.
I'm there, but you got to warn somebody before you do that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just got kind of worked up with, dude, because I'm like, here's the thing, and the thing that's interesting is DeSantis is not saying, yeah, no, you can't do that. What he's saying is, no, if you're an adult, you have the freedom to do that if you want to do that. It's your body, your choice. But you don't get to do it to children, right? When it comes to coming in the country illegal, no. You have a right to be here if you've done it the right way, right?
Yep. So
what he's talking about is real, true, and utter freedom, right? Liberty is what he's talking about. Gavin Newsom is talking about free stuff. He's talking about handouts. He's talking about we're going to take care of you and give you whatever you want. Folks, when you go and you take whatever you want, regardless of the impact that has on either yourself or on society as a whole, that is by definition licentiousness. And that is not what liberty is.
See, and I thought licentiousness was that sweet flavor that they put in the fruitcakes.
Wow!
Just sprinkle it on. Would you like some licentiousness on your Starbucks?
I thought that was a San Francisco joke or something.
No. It could be you make it a pound cake. I don't care.
All right, make it a pound cake. Another San Francisco joke.
Oh, sorry. Okay. How about a hammer?
That was a Freudian slip.
That's a Pelosi joke. A hammer cake. Yeah.
Hammer cake. All right, let's move on to our next topic. Okay, this one's going to be kind of interesting. All right, because Donald Trump has done a lot for this nation. Quite honestly, I would say if there was a great political awakening in this country in my lifetime, it was because of Donald Trump. He's the one who has revealed all of the nastiness and the swamp that is there in Washington D.C. He's revealed and really unmasked the biasness of the media as well as academia. He's also was successful in demonstrating that, even those on the right who are part of the swamp who've made excuses for not getting certain things done, the fact that he was able to get them done, some of the things that he actually got done, he actually worked on a bipartisan on a bipartisan level in order to make happen. Worked with people on the other side of the aisle. I mean, he made some stuff happen. Now, he actually also got people who had never been involved or interested in being involved in politics. He got them interested and engaged and involved. Well, now that the 2022 actual election is over, we're still waiting. We're still in the season. But now that the actual voting supposedly is over, he's realizing that it's time to come out and time to start getting ready for 2024. And I think we all know that he was actually planning on announcing here relatively soon. Well, part of what appears to be going on right now is Donald Trump is, he's going out and he's taking some time to attack Republicans. Republicans who you would think would normally be allies. For example, he recently took a jab, not a full, it wasn't a full fledged shot, but he's talking about Youngkin, and you call him Young Kin. Kind of say he says kind of sounds like like it's Chinese, right? And then he talked about how he was nothing, he had nothing until Donald Trump came in and saved him and helped him to get elected. He also that's the thing he talked about Youngkin. He also took a shot at Ron DeSantis, calling him an average governor. He also went on to say that, Fox News and Rupert Murdoch are totally in the bag for DeSantis and talk bad about it. And I'm like, I guess my concern is it sounds like Donald Trump is basically declaring war on anybody who doesn't support, at this moment in time, Donald Trump for president. I don't know, Mike. I wanted to get your perspective because I'm sure you've been reading the same stuff that I've been reading. I wanted to see what your thoughts were.
Yeah, listen. First off, Donald Trump. I believe we have Donald Trump because it was out of necessity. We needed that to come back from the 8 years we'd have previous to that, and he didn't come out of the blue. I firmly believe the MAGA movement was the continuation of the Tea Party. If you remember how popular the Tea Party was, around the year 2010 when it happened. And those people got it into office, and it just kind of faded because they had mid-level office Congress people, right? So I believe that the MAGA movement is the continuation of the Tea Party. And I don't know what iteration it'll take again, whether Donald Trump gets reelected or not. But we'll see something again that'll further come. As far as the Youngkin comment, and again, I think it's a lot about context. He didn't say, Youngkin would be nothing without me. It was Youngkin's where he is because of the support I threw behind him. Remember, Donald Trump's trying to play up his numbers now. So he's pointing out, like, see this guy over here? He's there because I helped him get there. I put him there. And the comment he made about Captain Florida, Governor DeSantis, I don't think he was trying to say that Governor DeSantis is only average. I believe the comment he was trying to put across was this is the average that all Republican governors should be shooting for. This is where all Republican governors should be. They should be as good as him, and that should be average. I think that he was in his odd terminology or verbiage way. It was kind of to pump himself up and give a little bit of a compliment, but it was perceived wrong once you take it into a soundbite and put it down on paper.
I'm not gonna argue with that assessment. I guess my challenge is that it goes to the challenge that he's always had, which is having stuff that he says. And once again, some of these things that he's saying are not things that we're reading that are interpreted by, I'm not going through the mainstream media, but even through conservative media. I'm hoping that they get together, in particular him and Ron DeSantis, sometime soon and work things out, because a war, regardless of who starts it and who instigates it, a war amongst the conservatives in the Republican Party or the conservative movement is not a good thing. And what we need to be doing now is coalescing and saying and coming to an agreement that we are going to end liberal control of this country. And however we wind up doing it. And I think it would be good for President Trump to do that for this reason. Number one, I think if he runs, he is going to be the nominee. I think it's good for him to make nice, because he's going to need someone who's going to be able to take over. Because anyone who thinks that we're going to be able to undo everything that they've done in 4 years, it's going to be tough. It's going to take a while. So we're going to need someone who can pick up the torch once Donald Trump can't run anymore.
Yeah, you're going to need two very powerful people, right? And I still believe that DeSantis does not run for president. Trump wins the primary and then extends the running mate position to DeSantis, and then that's a done deal at that point. That takes everybody. That's all the Trump supporters and all the people under DeSantis supporters, and all of those that don't like Trump, those TDS, Trump derangement syndrome sufferers. They get the rest. They're on board now because DeSantis is there, and they know DeSantis will be the next president after that, because he'll be the incumbent at that point, incumbent vice president, and Trump can't run again. And listen, it's hard as heck to beat an incumbent. So,
I only see now. Here's the other thing. I only see DeSantis accepting the vice presidential nomination or the position of vice president if it is going to be a true partnership, not an equal partnership, because the president ain't equal with the vice president, but more kind of like a partnership, that the sort of partnership that George Bush Jr. had with Dick Cheney, in that they literally did, from what I saw, kind of work together, and they both had their roles, and he wasn't the vice president wasn't diminished by the president, and
we saw that amongst Trump's staff. Listen, even Mike Pence worked his butt off, and all of his other secretaries, they worked their butts off. And listen, if DeSantis signs on as Trump's a running mate there, well, listen, this is the kind of guy where you say, listen, we extended these guys an offer and they didn't do anything. Ron, go break their legs. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be that kind of deal. Listen, here, President Trump says you either play with him or we shove the bat up your butt. That's all there is to it. And I'm the bat. So what are we doing? It's these people are. Listen, it's Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. If they're on the same team, Craig, everybody's playing ball. They're going to play ball with you.
And something else just hit me, because he just won re-election. It's a free ride for him. So if he does get on the ticket, right? If he doesn't force it and say, okay, well, I'm going to run. If he does get on the ticket with Trump, and let's say by some, stolen erection, reason, Trump doesn't win, well, guess what? He's still governor of Florida, and he can still run again in 2028, and he'll do so because whoever did steal the erection. By the way, just so you guys know, for those of you who are wondering why we're talking about that, we don't talk about election fraud. That doesn't happen. Election fraud has not happened. We only refer to erection flawed.
Erection flawed. Yeah, there you go.
Hey, got to get around those YouTube algorithms somehow.
That's it, and that's the right way to do it. Try you work your way around the erection. Yeah.
Family show, man. Family show. Anyway, but
I'm just saying what you said.
He's like, I'm just saying what you said. Anyway, the point is, before this gets out of hand, they've got to make nice. And I don't
Yeah,
see the
I will
president
say this.
reaching out to DeSantis to make it nice. I think it's going to be on DeSantis to reach out to the president and say, dude, come on, man. Look, we got to work this out because it ain't going to help. This ain't helping.
Yeah, I will tell you this. That I know this from insider personal knowledge that the two camps don't talk. They don't talk, but it's
They
not
need
because
to.
they're opposed to each other. It's more like, and I use the example. Um, Britain and France didn't talk to each other at all during World War II, as they were both fighting against the Germans. They
Right.
had to have Eisenhower in the middle to break that silence. So it's kind of the same way. They're just doing their own thing, but they're fighting the same cause. It'll happen at some point. Somebody will reach out, or somebody intermediary will come along and make nice.
I got to believe it's starting to happen. It's got to be starting to happen now because, like I said, this does not have the appearance of being healthy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
let's move on to our next story, which has to do with student loan debt because, as you all know, folks are trying to get us to pay for their student loan debt because, well, they studied, Chicano studies or women's studies, and they're wondering why they can't get a job. And, so they want someone else to pay for their student loans because they want to go and they want to travel and eat out. And that's where right now, all their travel and eating money is going to student loan debt. In any case, a federal judge has now come out and ruled that they put a temporary injunction on it, but now it is official. His plan to get rid of student loan debt, or not get rid of, to pass it on to the taxpayers, has been shot down. It is not legal, and I think Republicans or conservatives already knew this because we have this little thing called separation of powers, and the powers of the purse do not rest in the executive. You do not have the ability to just go ahead and forgive debt and put the taxpayers on the line. And I got to believe that there are a whole lot of Gen Z and Gen X voters out there who are now feeling like they got robbed or they got mansioned because Manchin didn't get his pipeline when he agreed to do stuff for them, and now they agreed to partnership and support the White House, and now all of a sudden, these folks decided to go out and vote for the president. Now they're finding out, you're not getting student loan forgiveness. Sorry.
Amazing, right? Listen, we know, and we talked about how he brought this up 2 months before the election to try and garner that vote for the Democrats. And we all looked at it and went, he can't do this. He's not allowed to do this. You can't executive order this into existence. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. And then here we are, 3 days after the election. They're like, oh, yeah, sorry. It is illegal. It's not going to happen. But those votes are already in and already counted. Well, not counted everywhere. We know that. But
But anyway, folks, that's what happens when you vote for a guy who says he's going to give you stuff. People who say they're going to give you stuff, invariably, they don't give you anything. They give you the shaft is what they give you. And that's
right.
pretty much what he gave you.
It's right. It's just like creepy dudes in a van, right? Yeah, listen, he promises you candy or a puppy, but instead you get the shaft.
Pretty much. All right, let's move on to our speaking of election time, let's move on to our parting shot. This first message is brought to you by the state of Arizona, the letter Y, and erection fraud. Flawed.
There you go.
You want to describe this one for the folks?
It's a couple of juveniles there, some Utes walking down a nice country road. Looks like they might be going fishing. Got a little picnic basket maybe there with them. And they said, "Where are you going, Big Bird?" Because Big Bird's there walking with them. Big Bird says, "I'm going to Arizona to teach them how to count."
Okay, so the only thing that I thought would have been more appropriate with this one, if it was the count.
The count. Yes, but I don't know the count ever walks down a dirt road like that. I think he just flies through the night as a bat.
He does. I think he just flies through the night as a bat. But this also reminds me though of
to clarify where we are. Arizona, 79% of the vote turned in. Here, Craig, 79% of the vote turned in Arizona for the governor's race. For the Senate race, they have 80%. So they don't even have the same number of votes counted for a couple of statewide elections. That's how screwed up they are.
You know, Mike, the thing that gets me is, how do you call this progress? I mean, we used to be able to, you go to the polls on the day of, you vote, and then that night you sit around the TV and you watch and you know who won the election. How is it? I mean, the election was the beginning of the week, and now you have folks in Arizona saying that we're probably not going to know who won until next week. How is that progress? All it does, Mike, all it does is add question marks to the. It opens the possibility for people to question the process when it takes days to count.
Yeah, it does nothing but reek of corruption, doesn't it? Right? It just allows the opportunity for it to occur. It's horrible. It needs to be done. Florida took care of it. Many states took care of it. Put the new voting rules into effect, and boom. Listen, Florida took a big bad eye. I remember back in 2000 with the whole Chad nonsense.
Yep.
And that wasn't even that we couldn't count the votes. We just didn't know whether to count them on the left or count them on the right. We had a big table full of them that we needed to decide what to do with. Well, they fixed all that nonsense, got rid of a couple of bad supervisors of elections, and Florida is the streamline and model for how to count votes.
Yeah, it's funny why does it seem like every single time we have issues with elections, they're all in areas run by Democrats? They blame Republicans, but they're all areas run by Democrats.
It's weird, right? Kind of weird how that works.
Just saying. All right, we're getting too much into issues, not enough into parting shots. This next one made me kind of tickled because, as we all know, there are a couple of people who are, in my opinion, from what I've seen, they're perennial losers, yet the left keeps trying to trot them out as a way in which to be conservatives. I'm referring specifically to Stacey Abrams, the president of Earth, and Beto O'Rourke. Well, this one really gets me. I'll let you go ahead and describe it.
Yeah, it's Jim from The Office sitting there with that pleasant smile on his face, looking through the blinds, and it says, "Me watching you pull up your Beto yard signs a third time."
Very good stuff. Very good stuff. And this last one is both a baseball and a election reference. Had to run this one today with the Phillies having apparently having lost the World Series. And there's a meme that says the Phillies can still win the World Series as long as Mike Pence has the courage to do the right thing.
See, and I think that makes fun of those that say that President Trump tried to force Mike Pence to do things. And Mike Pence is a big boy. You don't force him to do things. So
no, you don't. You do not force him to do things. If there's one thing that Mike Pence has demonstrated is that he is a man of principle. You may not agree with his decision and what he did, but he did what he thought was the right thing to do. You may believe it was the wrong thing, but he did what he believed was the right thing to do and was willing to face criticism by his own party and sacrifice his position as what in many cases would have been the presumptive nominee of the party. Coming around for the next presidential election. He put that all on the line to do what he felt was the right thing to do. Once again, whether you agree with he should have done it or not done it, he should have fought it or not fought it, all I will say is this, I know it's not easy to do the right thing when you know that the people that support you are going to be the ones criticizing you. So I will give him some credit for that.
I'll tell you what Mike Pence did, and he's done what many other federal judges we've seen, some handful federal judges have done over the past year or two. He chose the nonviolent path, because if he had done what was proposed, it would have led to bloodshed. It would have led to the forceful, removal and or replacement or status quo. He chose to avoid bloodshed over something that had merit. We'll say that, Craig. Now, I'm not saying it was proven yes or no. I'm saying something had merit, and he chose to avoid the actual bloodshed. When I mean bloodshed, folks, I mean the tree of liberty, being refreshed from time to time with blood of patriots and tyrants, because we know we have both. And listen, I respect his decision.
You know what, Mike? That is a great perspective, and I will say this, and that's the reason why you had so many people who they label to be election deniers, but they're really people who are saying, look, we need to fix this system.
Yep.
Even if it's merely the perception of impropriety, we need to do what we can to eliminate the perception of impropriety, because the peaceful transfer of power is what makes us different from everyone else. And if we cannot do that, if we cannot maintain that, then you are right. We're in some dangerous waters.
Yep. Yep.
All
I
right,
agree.
let's go ahead and we're way over, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and just give a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Let's say hey to our good friends, veterans, owned and operated there at the Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. Go get your AR barrels for all your AR needs. California Republican Assembly. Listen, these guys do great work out there. Guys and gals do great work out there. So make sure you continue to support them until the next cycle comes around, and then you'll have great information all over again. And then, of course, another veteran-owned and operated company. Good friends. If you need any field gear or tactical gear, go to uscombatgear.com. And don't forget, Hog Holsters, HAWG Holsters. If you want some of the best custom holsters out there, handmade custom holsters, go to Hog Holsters, HAWG Holsters.com, and use Arms Room Radio, all caps, no spaces, Arms Room Radio for your discount code.
Folks, we appreciate all these guys because they do what they do, and because they support us and they help us and they bring us to you. So do us a favor. Once again, go to their websites. Links in the description of this program. Check them out. If you like what you see, kick them down some cash and tell them the guys over at the Rundown sent you. On that note, we are done for today. The weekend is now officially, fully 100% upon us. And I for one, plan to enjoy it immensely. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for encouraging your friends to do the same. We will see you on Monday. Fun day. Gun day. Peace out.